Welcome back to Safas Unscripted, episode 81. Time has flown by. As you can see, it's just myself, Casual Bias Rugby, and Brevan here today. Brett Burns stuck in another what do you call it in English, Brevan?
Roadblock.
Roadblock. Stuck in a roadblock. Obviously, you know the guy, he loves his alcohol. He was drinking and driving once again, as per usual. So, just one of those things.
Kids, we don't promote that. He didn't do that.
No, he wasn't really drinking and driving, to be fair. Okay. But anyway, because there's only 2 games this weekend, we've got the Champions Cup and then Challenge Cup final. Obviously, we'll talk about that in depth. And then just because it's 2 games, we've got some rugby news that has come out in terms of Willemse being out for 4 months, if we're not mistaken. Visa banned for 6 games. We'll just look at how South Africa could possibly line up for the upcoming games with all the injuries and suspensions that we have. But overall, Brevan, how are you doing, brother?
Yeah, all good. Nice and chilly out there. Just came from rugby practice, but yeah, it's all good. But again, just cool to be on the pod. It's last time it was just me and you. I think we had a fun time, so let's do it again. But yeah, guys, please just remember to subscribe. Keep subscribing to the channel. Keep liking. If you're not subscribed, please just give us a try, subscribe. We promise we won't let you down. We upload 3 times a week, so just give us a go and we'll do our best not to let you down. So yeah,
of course. And as per usual, we banter you, you banter us. That's the deal. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't like disrespect in the comments. I want you coming after us. That's what we've signed up for. But obviously we also appreciate the respect, to be fair. But anyway, Brevan, let's not beat around the bush. Champions Cup final. Toulouse, Leinster, we can all probably agree that they are the 2 deserving finalists in this competition. Like, it's a massive game. You can think of this game as a DuPont versus Gibson Park, massive clash. And it's rugby heritage because they are playing for who's won the most European Cups. And the other one is defending that, one's defending that status and the other one's trying to equalize that, right? So the deserving finalists.
Yeah, 100%. I think those are the 2 best clubs in the world at the moment. Just Leinster on the one side being so well structured, so well coached, so many good players, international players, experience, just a power of a team. We know even next season they're going to get even stronger with the likes of Achia Snyman and Geordie Barrett. So you can expect them to probably be up there again next year. And then you've got Toulouse, who are, they've got one of the, in my opinion, the best 9 in the world. Some people say Gibson Park is, some people say Antoine Dupont, whatever, but they have some of the best flair players in the world, best French team, obviously. So it's such a big game. It's like, and even if you aren't a fan of these 2 teams, it's a game you want to watch because I can tell you now it's going to be such a good game of rugby, especially with the quality of players that are at stake. So it's just so many one-on-one battles like Gibson Park versus DuPont. And then you have, I think, I'm not sure who's going to start at fly-off, Bern probably versus Intermac. So yeah, I think it's going to be exciting. So yeah, I'm really keen for it.
I'm really looking forward to that scrum battle. If you look at the likes of Antonio and a Furlong, obviously it's almost a full... it is the full Irish front row going up against the French, who are absolute massive behemoths of men. You know what would have been interesting if obviously this is done before the teams are announced. If we could have done like a sneaky little combined 15 between the 2, like that would have been some proper stuff. Because obviously there's so many internationals, and it's not just Irish internationals. It's the Irish, the French, Scottish boys. Obviously you have some Safas in there as well. So it would have been a very, very interesting one. Let's get straight to the point. How does this game play out? Do you think it's a high-scoring game, one of those ones, or do you think it's one of those nitty-gritty, tight games the way we saw Leinster go up against Saints?
I'm expecting almost a game very similar to Ireland versus South Africa in the World Cup, where it was very exciting, but yet low scoring. However, I do think there'll be more points scored. I don't think it will be as low as what that game was in the World Cup, but I don't think any team will run away with it. I can see both teams scoring in the 20s or someone maybe in the high
Mm.
teens, somewhere there. But the way I see this going, I genuinely believe Leinster have the ability to go on and win this if they stick to their structures. I think they are such, like I always say this, they're so well structured, so well programmed. And I believe if they can stick to what they know and they can obviously be they've been coached what they know and they can stick to what they know, they've got the players to be able to do it. I can see Leinster taking this one. However, the minute Toulouse makes this game, how can I say, if they can make this game more open than Leinster would like, and
Mm.
Dupont can start creating things out of nothing, I think that's really where it starts better, going more in favor of Toulouse, because Toulouse are a side with a lot of flair, like a lot of, you're looking at flair versus very well structured. So I'm going to go with Leinster to win, but I don't think they'll cruise it. I do
Bro, but
think
I
it will
don't
be
like
quite
that.
tight.
I don't like the fact that you actually thinking with your head. You have to think with your heart. We are about to play Ireland in South Africa. I will not be supporting an Irish team. I will not be saying a Irish team wins some silverware before they come to South Africa. That would be embarrassing. Okay, this game is to losers. They've scored some of the most beautiful tries you will ever see. Um, Leinster nearly lost to Northampton Saints. Okay, it's rugby heritage. This is Toulouse's game. I'm telling you now, the way that they've been in cruise control made difficult teams look easy. I know Harlequins fought back and stuff, but in the end, cruise control. That's literally what Toulouse are.
Yeah,
But now to take the banter aside, Leinster are absolutely brilliant. Okay, and to be fair, I don't see Leinster making history in being the first team ever to lose 3 finals in a row. Like that would
yeah,
seriously be embarrassing. That is
yeah,
the wrong side of rugby heritage. So
yeah.
I respect Leinster. I do respect Leinster. I know I just talked a bit of shit about them, but they are an amazing team. But I'm gonna go with Toulouse to actually do it. I just got a sneaky feeling with them, the way that they just turn it on. But the only thing that kind of worries me a bit with them, they concede easy tries.
Yeah.
Like, seriously. And if you look at Leinster, I know people talk about they were on the ropes against Saints, and Saints could have won that game in the end. Some people say that they deserved to win that game. You have to give credit to Leinster's defense because that was insane to hold on for that long when you're on the ropes. Respect to that. And that is Jock Nob, defense masterclass. So I've got to lose to win this. High scoring game as well. I'm going with
Okay.
a 4 point victory to lose. Maybe sneak it at the end. But this is going to be a belter.
Yeah, it's gonna be a crazy. I don't think people like, if you're a South African, for example, and you don't really know much about these two teams because you don't watch them too often, like I suggest you watch this game. Make an effort to watch it because you'll learn some interesting things from both teams. And it's just like you said. I think if Leinster can defend like really well, I think it's theirs to lose. That's no pun
Yeah.
intended. But yeah, it's going to be crazy because you know what? Like, obviously, it's a final, and we expect quite a tight game in the sense that
Mm.
no one wants to make any errors. But like, I think the only way I can really see Toulouse really going on and making a statement and winning this game is if they make this a game full of flair. Just Dupont doing his thing, Antimac doing his thing,
Mm.
obviously Ramos or Kinghorn doing their thing. Whoever starts there. I'm so excited for this game, and I've never been
Yeah.
so excited for two European teams ever. Like it's really
Especially if
going
you
to be a
look
good
at
game.
the past couple of years, like the history between the two teams, like the head to heads, like Leinster's got Toulouse's number at the moment. Like that would give them confidence. But then can you look into that too much? Because obviously La Rochelle had Leinster's number and Leinster put away La Rochelle like they are nothing. Toulouse look a bit better this season than they probably did in the season before. I think Blakey Horn has been absolutely sensational at fullback. Like a lot of people could rate Tomo Ramos in the top 2, top 3 fullbacks in the world. Some would even say he's the best fullback. Yet Blakey Horn looks undroppable at the moment. I know his nose is sitting next to his ear with that head knock that he got, but But still, so if you just look at the head-to-head, I feel silly a bit going for Toulouse, but also it doesn't feel
No, I
weird
don't
to go.
think it's crazy to suggest anyone in this game. Like, there can be no
Yeah,
Leinster fan who goes absolutely ballistic at someone that says Toulouse is going to win, and the same other way, no Toulouse fan can go ballistic to someone that says Leinster's going to win, because you're
yeah.
looking at the two best clubs in the world, in my opinion. So this will decide who is the best this year, and I
And the
think the
crazy
two
thing is, like,
rightful.
but like sometimes you can look at a game and you say, listen, the starting 15 is close, but the bench will make the difference. You look at this, and both teams' bench are still
It's
absolutely
crazy.
fire. Like it's
Yeah,
ridiculous the strength in depth that both these teams have. So, what was your score, Leinster by?
I'm going to go Leinster by 3. I'll actually give a proper score prediction. I'm going to go 29-26 to Leinster.
29-26. I'll go 30-26 to Toulouse.
Okay, fair,
Just
fair,
to
fair.
just to make it a bit juicy. Anyway, let's move on to the Challenge Cup. Now we have a team that we can talk a lot about, and the other team that we can talk absolute nothing about. Because
Yeah.
we have, when we think Gloucester, like most people in the world, we just hear Zach Mercer, and when we think Zach Mercer, I'm thinking, yeah, I've seen this guy twice. That's how it goes
I mean,
down,
and
right?
then there's Ruan Ackerman as well. I mean, of course, the
I mean,
Ackerman's there.
yeah, sure, but I mean,
Yeah, so at least we know him. So, look, at the end of the day, it's not our fault. We can't really get. I mean, we get a few Prem games here and there on our package television package, or whatever. We
will
don't
you go
get them
out of your
all.
way and actually watch it instead of yours? No.
The thing is, there's so much,
I
there's
mean,
so much URC and other rugby on, so it's like you kind of you don't actually have time to watch. But yeah, I wouldn't go out of my way. Actually, you know what? I'm a rugby maniac, so I probably would go and watch a Gloucester versus Bath, for goodness sake. But it wouldn't be fun. I'd probably fall asleep, but at least I'd give it an effort. But
yeah,
yeah,
well, to be fair, the Prem has been more interesting this season. But you know what I find very interesting with these two teams going up against each other? Both of them absolutely dumped out of their leagues. Like they were both embarrassing. That like while everyone was playing, they were stuck on the toilet with some shits and gigs. I don't even know
yeah,
what they were doing during the league, right? Because the one team is 13th out of what 16 in the URC, something like that,
yeah,
the Sharks, and then the other one is in eighth from 10 teams in the Prem,
cheapest.
and and you want to tell me one of these two teams are going to take home silverware? Like
Yeah, it's
obviously
crazy.
I'll be rooting for the Sharks because it's a weird thing with there's no South African team that has won European silverware in terms of the Champions Cup or the Challenge Cup. But the Sharks don't deserve that shit. Like at all. Like it would be absolutely embarrassing for them to be the first team to win it after this pathetic season that they've had. Like seriously.
Yeah, I
And the
mean,
thing is, they're probably gonna do it. My prediction is Sharks.
uh, um, yeah. Look, I think based on this tournament, I think we can fully give them what they deserve to be where they are in this tournament alone. But like you said, you're looking at a Sharks team that have just disappointed this season. Like this is
Yeah.
the game that rescues their season and puts them in the Champions Cup if they win. So this is their do
Finished
or
13th
die.
in the URC, play
Yeah,
Champions Cup.
it's exactly. So this is do or die. Like obviously we know you obviously will probably get a lot more sponsors and investment. Obviously Sharks don't have an issue with money. We know this, but
Yeah.
you still want to be playing in the to attract the best players. You want to be playing in the best tournaments. So this is a game that the Sharks cannot afford to lose. Otherwise, it has literally been one of the most horrific seasons a South African team has ever faced, whether it's Super Rugby, URC, whatever.
Yep.
Because with the players that the Sharks have, 13th is just not good enough.
Yeah.
It's really not good enough.
It's weird that they're in this situation of we're either playing Champions Cup or nothing.
It's literally. They won't
Like,
even be playing Challenge Cup if they lose. It's literally they'll get
yeah.
nothing.
To be fair, right? If they win this game, like they have been looking good in the Challenge Cup. Let's not beat around the bush. They deserve to be in the final. The way that they played that game against Clermont was absolutely brilliant rugby that they played. Sneaked over the line by 1 point. With the team that they're going to have next season, if you look at all the signings coming in, I do believe they'll have a better team, especially without John Plumtree. I'm not a Plumtree hater, but when you have seasons like this, it's time to move on. Okay, the team is still there's enough experience and youngsters coming through, enough hungry guys to give a new coach the job. Bring Franco Smith back. Give him that Sharks team, and he will perform absolute magic. Imagine that Sharks team playing the rugby that Glasgow's playing. Glasgow doesn't even have the names. So you just imagine what the Sharks could do. So if they played, Franco Smith goes over with the team that they have, the rugby that they will play, they would deserve to be in the Champions Cup, if you get what I mean. Like, I'm predicting a big season for them next year with the signings coming in. I think if they get the balance right between the internationals and the young and hungry guys, they will have a good season. But we're going off topic here. How do you see this final playing out?
This is such a difficult game for me to call because the Sharks have just been so unpredictable. Like, you don't know what you're going to get on the day. You can either get a Shark side that is fired up and looking really good and taking good teams to the end, and either winning or just coming short, or you get a Shark side that performs terribly against Benetton at home and loses. Then you go and lose to Cardiff as well, even though that wasn't their strongest side. It's just, you don't know what you're going to get. But obviously, we South Africans, and we're going to back a South African team. And if you look on paper, the Sharks have the better team, in my opinion. And
by far.
And look, obviously, Gloucester will have. I mean, they'll also want Champions Cup. Like, they'll really want it as well. And I think Gloucester might need it a tad more in terms of financial sense, even though they've got...
Not if those Saudis come through. Saudis...
Yeah, true. But you know what? I'm going to go Sharks. I think Sharks, if I'm just going to go on both teams pitching up on the day, I'm going to go with the Sharks to win. Purely because of the depth they have in that team and the talent they have in that team. I mean, you have an Etzebeth who is captaining the side. I did see the Shark side today. Hopefully
who's on outside centre with out now?
Ethan Hook is playing outside, and then Francois Fent is playing 12. So yeah. So you know what? Like, I think it's a good enough side to win, but I'm just also hoping, like, for instance, we know Evan Etzebeth in a Boks jersey when he's captain. It sometimes goes a bit like he kind of goes into a shell because he doesn't
want to be too safe with it because he knows he's captain.
I just want to see an Etzebeth that leads by example. You don't need to lead with your words. We know you've got your words, but lead by example. Go in and make the hit you made in the World Cup final. Like, that's the Evan Etzebeth the Sharks need. Because honestly, I genuinely think if Evan Etzebeth puts in a shift, like a proper shift, naturally people will follow. Like, people have spoke about the aura that some players in that Boks team have, and Evan's one of them. He just needs to put his correct foot forward, and I personally think the Sharks will be fine. I mean, you've got an Ox there, Bongi, so I'm not worried.
They've got a lot of match winners there. They've got World Cup winners in there. Now, obviously, this isn't the World Cup, but they've got a winning mentality. They know what it takes to get your team over the line. And this game does mean a lot for the Sharks and for those players. They don't want to be labelled as the weakest South African team to grace this earth. Like, they know they've got standards to uphold, and if they can put a little caveat after weakest team ever, but they're actually the only South African team to take away silverware, the first South African team to win a European silverware, that would be absolutely massive for them. So I'm going with the Sharks by 6 points. I think that would be fair enough. Especially, I think it's going to be close because Gloucester, obviously a Prem team, this is being played in England, so they will have their support. It would feel like a Gloucester home game. You get what I mean?
Yeah. So I'm also going to go Sharks. I'm going to say Sharks. I was on the same kind of wavelength. I was going to say Sharks by 5. But yeah, look, obviously it's in London, and we know there are a lot of Saffers in London. So hopefully, whether they Bulls, Stormers, Lions, they pull through for the Sharks, because Sharks will want a decent amount of support there. But like I said, it both teams pitching up on the day, both teams playing good rugby. Sharks should win it purely based on quality. But like you
Mm.
said, and it's kind of off topic, but I just think whether they win it or not, I genuinely think Plumtree unfortunately needs to go. I don't think he's
Yep.
the guy. I don't, unfortunately. I think there are better options out there for the Sharks. Just a better philosophy, better game plan.
Yeah, you
I
have
don't
to look
think,
past the sentimental value. Like obviously Plumtree's been there before, he's done it before, but he's not doing it now. And
yeah.
it's time to pull the cord on that one. That's just my opinion on it. Like I'm sure some Shark fans would agree and some would disagree. But I
Mm,
mean there's a difference between a struggling season and looking like it can go better and just like looking like this is an absolute failure. And that is
mm.
what it looks like. It doesn't look like there could be steps forward. The Sharks hasn't looked better all season. But I want to bring an interesting discussion. We're done with the previews of the games. Obviously, we'll talk about the injuries in 1 second, but it's just come to mind, and I spoke about it on my personal channel on YouTube in the week. And it's like, what is your thoughts on the South Africans not able to have home games in Europe? Like, I understand it, but you would never have South Africans really invested until you get those games to be played in South Africa as well. I'm talking about the playoffs. Like, let's say,
Mm,
for instance, if Leinster and Toulouse was played in Cape Town, I doubt that the stadium would get filled out unless there's a bunch of them traveling down. Like, we don't care about that too much. But our boys will never feel they have a home crowd. Like for us in South Africa, we need the flight tickets and we need visas, and you need to get that about 2 to 3 months before you even go, just to have everything sorted. So you kind of have to make a guess. Listen, okay, we're
mm,
actually going to make it to the final. So you would never have South Africans actually traveling to be able to see
yeah.
the game. I understand that they don't want the people flying up and down, but what is your opinion on it? Like, I know it's tough to give a um, what do you call it, like a solution to it, but what's your thoughts on it all?
So the way I look at it is we kind of did enter their world. We can't just come in and expect us to kind of rule the way things work. However, I do think there needs to be a plan where maybe they kind of incorporate that at least like I think quarterfinals are able to be played in South Africa. It's the semi-finals, and because the Sharks played their quarterfinal against Edinburgh
Yeah, yeah.
at the Shark Tank, so at least that's fair. But then obviously semi-final they had to play over in the UK. Um, but I do think at least semi-final. Of course, the final always has to be held in Europe. I mean, it's the European
Yeah.
Championship that I completely understand. But a semi-final, if it gets to the point where the South African team should be hosting a home semi, then I think it should be hosted in South Africa. But like I said, I think we can't just barge in and kind of make how it should be run and stuff. But like you said, it's difficult for South Africans to make the trip because one, it's obvious the exchange rate is ridiculous. I mean,
Yeah.
we cannot compete, and still flights are way more expensive. Then you got to
Yeah,
think of
it'll
visas.
take it'll cost about 30,000 rand for us to get up there. Never mind
Mm.
the, let's say, 200, 300, 400 pounds that you have to pay for the game. Then you have to pay for the hotel you're going to live in. Obviously, all that racks up, and then it turns out to be okay. That's 2 months' salary. That's
Literally, it
just
is. That's
it's
how.
2 months'
And
salary on
mm,
average salary that you have to pay to go.
yeah.
Like, that is ridiculous.
Yeah, so, but unfortunately, like I said, we did enter their realm. We
Yeah.
entered the URC, we entered the Champions Cup, so we kind of have to just unfortunately deal with it. But like I said, I think there are some things where, like for instance, a semi-final, if the Bulls, for instance, make it or Stormers make it to a Champions Cup semi, it should be hosted in South Africa. Because at the end of the day, like it's kind of forcing us to kind of pick which tournament is more important, and we saw that
Mm.
with Jake White because you kind of think I have to travel all the way to the UK, and the next week I have a home game in South Africa, but the following week I was in Ireland. So
Yeah.
it is a
For
bit
the
of a
semi-final, I fully agree with you that you should be able to hold it in South Africa because firstly, they made a huge mistake this season in having Leinster and Toulouse as the final and not as the last game of the season. You look at it in football and soccer teams, the UEFA Champions League final has to be the final game of the season. It's the biggest tournament. It's the be-all and end-all. Why is this being played before a URC playoff has been played, before top 14 playoff has been played? Like, it doesn't make sense. So you're having your biggest tournament end before the others have even gone into playoffs. Doesn't make sense to me. So they could have had the semi-finals when they had it, right? And that could have easily gone home games for the likes of the Sharks or the Storm, or well, in South Africa, right? And I guarantee you that stadium will be stacked out. Like, you don't have an issue. We will stack 50 to 60,000 people in a stadium. Doesn't matter who it is in South Africa, because it's one of the biggest tournaments. You're playing against one of the biggest franchises. You won't have as let's say it was Sharks against Saints, right? You won't have a lot of Saints fans there, just like you didn't have a lot of Bulls fans there. But that stadium will be stacked. You will get your money's worth over there. And then you can have the final a month or whatever later after the URC at a neutral ground. It would still make sense, in my opinion. But anyway, let's move on to some rugby news that has come out this week. Obviously, we've heard now earlier that Kitsoff is out. He has come back to the Stormers, but he's still out. I'm not sure if he's just missing the Irish tour or if he's missing all of it. But we've got a couple of injuries now. We've got Kitsoff missing. We heard Lukhanyo Arms out now as well. We're not sure how long that's going to be. Damian Willemse out for 4 months. And then obviously Kwagga Smith still out. I know his Japanese team has posted a lot about him, even though he's not closer to playing really. And then obviously we have Jasper Wiese out now as well with the suspension. And we'll talk about it as a whole instead of talking about each and every one of those guys. And this is not excuses leading up to the Irish thing.
Like I've also seen the Irish.
It's just it makes it a lot tougher now, because these are big name players that it's once again missing for us.
Yeah. Look, the Irish are also now missing quite a few players, from what I understand. I think Mac Hansen is obviously out. I think Hugo Keenan is now
playing in the final.
Oh, who?
Hugo Keenan.
No, but but I think he apparently rumored to choose sevens over Ireland this year. He wants to go to play in the Olympics.
Oh my word.
It's rumored. It's not confirmed, but I did see that it's rumored that he wants to play sevens this year. To obviously win a gold medal for Ireland, maybe. So look, I think they also have their own issues where they have their issues, but focusing on us, it's not excuses. Obviously, we always say how much depth the Springboks have and South Africa has, and we kind of need to live by that now, because we've been saying it, and we kind of have to live. It's annoying at the fact that a Kitsoff is out and then a Willemse is out, and you kind of start to get quite annoyed, because I mean, me personally, I wanted to keep that team quite similar to the World Cup, just purely because, to me personally, this Irish series is quite important. I think it determines a lot, in my personal view. I mean, a lot of South Africans will say, "Oh, we won the World Cup," but I personally think a 2-0 series win has to be done here. If they win one, I think they have a conversation to say, "Listen, we beat the best team in the world in South Africa." That kind of makes us maybe even better.
The annoying thing for me is always it feels almost like it's our most influential players out. Like the previous time, it's Malcolm Marx out, literally our best player. Then it's okay, Stephen Kitsoff is out. So now we have depth in our scrums, but Stephen Kitsoff is so influential. Like at the breakdown, he's a menace. At the scrum, he's a menace. And then it's like Damian Willemse, who I say is the best player in the world, once again out. Like, I know Cheslin Colby is one of the best wings in the world, but we can replace him with Kurtley Arendse and Kainan Moody. Like, there's a lot of quality. Now it's, you take out Willemse, who's either our utility back on the bench or the number 15. Now, Willie goes in there, and it's like, okay, well, we don't have another utility back unless we actually go and choose, for instance, Sasha, who's not even played a test. Or you go to someone that isn't really what we are looking for instance. So it feels like we're always getting, or if let's say Damien Dialende was out, you got Andre Estreisen, right? But there's no replacement for the boys that we are losing. Like,
Yeah.
it's so annoying.
And the big and the,
Obviously, we're not going to use it as excuses. Like, we would still, the boys that come in, they'll still be ready, up for the fight, and yeah, they'll want to prove that they actually deserve it. That the injury is actually a good thing for us, if you get what I
yeah.
mean.
I mean, the one injury that's upset me or kind of bothering me the most is Quagga Smith, and he's not even in the
Yeah,
starting lineup. That is a massive loss. What he brings off the bench is probably unmatched. I still rate
JC
him as one of.
Pretorius.
Yeah, I mean, you did say that in the group earlier. But, I mean, Quagga Smith, he brings something else off the bench, and he is so good at what he does when he comes off the bench. I still regard him as one of the best loose forwards in the world, and I'll stand by that. Just purely,
Yeah,
you can say he doesn't start and whatever, but I just think what he brings off the bench, he is still one of the best. But
yeah.
I
What is
think,
that system that they had where he in the South African team or in the Boks team, where it's like points that they get per work thing that they do? Do you remember they spoke about it
yes,
in?
yes, yes. So kind of like they measure your kind of your selection in the sense that how many positive contributions do you have
Yeah,
in a certain time. So like if you can
he
make
topped it
yeah, if
by a
you can
mile.
make like 5 positive contributions in 4 minutes, then you're on the right track. Where some players are only making one every 4 minutes, for
Yeah,
example. So Kwak is one of those guys that makes at least five, like in a matter of 10 minutes, maybe even less. So he is
yeah,
a massive loss. But like obviously Willemse, I'm not. It's a massive like I'm very upset for him, and I would have loved it for him to start. But luckily, Villies had a fantastic season at the Bulls. So I've
fantastic.
no
Yes,
doubt that he can slot in at 15. I mean, he's 93 tests. He's got the experience. He's going to make his
yeah.
100th test cap this year as well.
He
So
brings a
that I'm not
calmness as
worried.
well. Like and he brings leadership. So Brevin, just before we round off the episode, just the final 2 minutes. Big controversy. Well, I think it's controversial. Jasper Wiese banned for 6 games. Obviously, it's not the end of the world because obviously we have a lot of strength in depth there. That's why I didn't mention him as one
Mm,
of the players that's like a massive loss, even though he is great for us because we saw the likes of Evan Roos, Cameron Hanekom, and the likes of them might get some game time now, especially
mm.
with Dwayne Vermeulen also retiring. Did Jasper Wiese's actions warrant a 6 game ban? Because in my opinion, it didn't even deserve a card and it didn't even deserve a penalty. That is as soft as it gets, and you get a 6 game ban. I think
Yeah,
it's a
look,
disgrace.
I think if I'm trying, I tried really hard. I did watch the clip a lot. Um, and then you look at the rule as well, and it says you cannot lift a player off the ground and kind of dump him on his head or whatever, which I don't think Jasper does. I think he does intentionally lift him off the ground and like put him down. But in my opinion, I see it as a penalty and a yellow card. That's just personally my opinion. I don't even see
Just
a
just
ban.
following the rules because it wasn't hard enough. Like if you want to talk about
Yeah,
damage
I
done, that's zero. That
yeah.
like a normal
Look,
tackle does more damage than that. Whiplash or whatever.
and yeah, obviously this is very opinion based, but the way I see it is Jasper picks him up and he kind of the guy he's picked up kind of leans forward, so it looks like he's kind of going down on his head. But Jasper basically just wanted to move him out the ruck, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's
Um,
literally like he was picking up his airport luggage and
yeah,
taking it off of the
like
wheel
literally
and
just
spins and
trying
just puts it
to,
on the ground.
yeah. So I don't think it should be he should be banned. I, however, will say that it according to the law, it is a penalty, and I would have probably given a yellow card because it is a bit silly. But it's Jasper.
Was
Jasper
cynical
is an
fight,
enforcer. Yeah.
yes. But
But
they're acting like he decided to morph into the Undertaker, pick the guy up, flip around his eyes, right, and then jump onto his knees and pile drive him, tombstone pile drive him into the ground, where it's like his head is in the ground and his feet's like dangling in the air. That's the type of decision that they just made. Like he was doing that. I think it's so stupid. Like
yeah,
I know people hate it when we say it, when we say the game's gone soft, but that is as soft as a physical penalty or physical card that I've ever seen. You
yeah,
saw Mapimpi's face being broken on the field, Nothing. Not even a penalty. Nothing. Right? Not a sanction after the game. They've gone and looked at a guy taking off his luggage off the wheel, putting it on the ground nicely. Because let's not act like that guy tried to be safe at all. Like he was tucking his head, like he wanted to
Yeah,
fall on his neck. You could have literally just straightened out his arms. Both of his arms were free. And he decided, no, I'm going to look like I'm diving into some water. Like he didn't even try to brace, okay? For
yeah,
the softest thing ever. So Mapimbi's face gets broken, nothing. They look at that in slow motion and everything, and they say, okay, 6 weeks.
yeah.
Like,
And the
I
scary and
understand
this
it's the shortest one, but they could have also said no ban.
yeah.
We're rescinding the red.
That's the scary thing. Like 6 weeks was the minimum. So he's for anyone that doesn't know, he's missing the Welsh test, he's missing both Irish tests, he's missing Portugal, and he's missing both Australian games. Now, however, this does mean your boys. I personally think it will be your boy instead of my boy. I think Ivan Rus will
Yeah,
get the call
probably.
up. And it's look, I'm not upset with that. I think Ivan Rus has done a bit more than Hanekom this season.
But I think that
Obviously,
has made that Hanekom might be in the squad, though.
yeah, possibly. I think Hanekom's been injured for a decent amount of time as well. So I
Yeah.
think Ivan
Or
Rus
Elrich
is
Low comes back in now.
yeah, either
Because
way. But
obviously, if you look at the World Cup squad, it's no Dwayne, no Jasper, and no Kwaga now. So kind of 3 positions that has opened up there.
yeah, so I think it's time for Ivan Rus to step up and finally put a statement up in that box shirt because I think he's matured enough now. His discipline is fixed. I think his mindset's 100%, and I think it's time for Ivan Rus to shine. I think he's more than capable of even making that Bok 8 jersey his own going forward. Because look, don't get me wrong, I personally always pick Jasper Wiese on the basis that he is the most physical 8 we have in the Springboks. I think I personally prefer an 8 that is very physical. I know even Rus can be physical, Anakorn can be physical, but I just see Jasper being a bit more of an enforcer in the sense that that guy can run over people like he is a brick wall. But like I said, Rus is more than capable of. So I'm not worried. I think Rus can carry that.
Yeah. So, people, this brings us to the end of the episode. If you liked it, please remember to subscribe to the channel. We appreciate each and every one of you guys. This was a fantastic discussion, even though it's a bit all over the place, talking about Champions and Challenge Cup, and then all of a sudden about the Boks, because we are biased like that. We will make everything about ourselves. You can be lucky that we didn't talk more about the Springboks, but that will happen next week. Thank you very much, and we will see you next time.